1965. He also owned the village of Shiloh, including the general store, tobacco house, warehouse. I thought it was curious that these pictures often have all the dogs and horses. Oscar and Rosalie had 9 children. I can look that up if you want. 2 of the 6 family members buried in the Chandler Cemetery were children of Rosalie and Oscar Wilson. James died at age 14 months when Rosalie was 19. 8 years later, son Victor Aaron died on the day of his birth. Viola married Clinton Dalvin Haynes when she was 16. They had 3 children. Clinton died at age 30 when the children were 2, 5, and 10 years old. So Viola married Joe Baker, with whom she had 2 more children. Joe didn't think that they could support all 5 children, so the Haynes siblings were split up. Oscar and Rosalie took in the younger Celeste as a daughter. Clifford, the oldest, went to Dallas to live with Aunt Emma Holt. Cecil Haynes went to live in the adjacent farm with Uncle Oscar Claude and Aunt Anna Wilson, but then his Uncle Elmer Wilson took him in. They already had 3 sons about his age. This is Elmer and Flora. Rosa May married George Hurley. Olin Wilson became a preacher in the Missionary Baptist Church at age 33. He's the grandfather of Nancy, back there, who's sitting on the back row. Claudia's grandfather was Oscar Claude Wilson. Boy on the left is Oscar Claude. This is the Rockwall home of his parents, Rosalie and Oscar Wallace Wilson. Oscar Claude and Anna Brooks lived there for a time after they were married. After a while, Oscar Claude and Anna fixed up a small tenant house on the property. Later, they moved to a larger house on the property that was located where Chandler's landing office is now, and was the birthplace of their first 2 children. Eventually, they bought this house and 67.5 acres near the current intersection of I-30 and Ridge Road. That's where Claudia's dad was born. There was no lake then. Unfortunately, when times got hard in the late 20s, they traded the farm for a small house in the Oak Lawn area of Dallas in order to be close to Oscar Claude's new job at Procter & Gamble. There's no telling what that man would do. When Claudia's father, Claude, was only 11, his father died at age 37 and left Anna to care for the 4 children at the lowest point during the Great Depression. Anna Brooks Wilson is one of our most interesting family members, and I have mentioned that there are a lot of stories we could tell if we had time. Here's one. After Oscar Claude died, Anna planned to marry a former professional baseball player. When he went to get a premarital blood test, the doctor told him not to get married because of health problems. He said he would not live that long, so the marriage plans were canceled. He lived to age 65. As I've read and learned more about my family and prior ancestors, I've been impressed with how hard they had to struggle in order to survive and how many difficulties they had to overcome. So many of the events of life, conveniences, and routine activities of daily living that we now take for granted were a major effort for them. I got to thinking about how difficult it'd be just to have fried chicken for dinner. We just stop at the county fried on the way home and get it. But they had to raise the chicken, kill the chickens, wring his neck, clean it, get the feathers off in boiling water, chop firewood, build the fire, cook the chicken, go over to the well, get water to clean up. Having chicken for dinner is a big project. There was obviously a lot of death, disease, and sorrow. And I hope there was also joy in their lives. Despite the adversity, the fact that they passed on to us the values of family is a tribute to their character and the heritage for which we should be proud. Our forefathers might not have left a legacy of many tangible assets, but they did leave us with a rich inheritance. That's all I have. So if anybody would like to make comments or corrections or additions, I'd be happy to hear them.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That Farmer's Bank, is that still standing?
I don't have any idea.
The building is not, that's the whole building, is that not?
Oh, is that?
It was a bank for years.
Yeah.
And it took different names over time. But yes, it's the whole building over there, still standing.
The Church of Christ there in Heath, that was a white church. I heard quite some time ago, at some point, maybe in the 60s or 70s, when they were doing some renovation, and they
What you're going to say?
found the floor under the pulpit, and they found the steel.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard too.
You heard it too?
I don't have any evidence, but I heard the story.
Yes,
Lord, I know.
yes it is, and they actually had a reunion party parties coming up soon. I can't remember if they just had it or it's coming up soon. A reunion of all of, former members. Homecoming, they call it.
Was there still under the pulpit?
I don't know about that, I wasn't.
Probably don't talk about it. Yeah, that's a place to look.
Does anybody know anything about Henry Wade? Is he connected to the local Wade? He is?
When you said Terry Utley Wade, I thought she was out of the room, but she should have been here because she was Terry Utley Wade, our talking tombstone. She knows dissertation.
I can give you all the information.
Stupid, that'd be fantastic. And isn't it about Hardin Wayne Chandler, is anything about him? As far as any descendants or anything? I never did find any. I didn't know if there were none. I know they had one child, but I think he died in infancy. I didn't know if they had other children or not. I've always heard about that.
So is the town of Heath named for that person that you mentioned, and the town, and the Utley noticeable for the Utley person?
No.
I don't know about other.
Utley Middle School was named for one of our principals that we had. Herman Utley. I don't know if Herman Utley was related to those people or not, but I haven't a clue, but Texas Valley School.
Have any of you been out to the Chandler Cemetery out there?
We have one, the condo that looks right over that grave site,
Great.
and it's being well kept.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a second. Unfortunately, Henry's headstone is broken again. It's laying on the ground. I don't know whose responsibility that is. Claudia's mom spent about $10,000 or $15,000 fixing up the cemetery, but she's dead now. I don't know.
Well, we find that is a real problem with vandals in this area. I don't know why they want to do that, but we have our own cemetery in town that we form an association and keep up and all of that, and we struggle with that. We've actually put us cameras and all kinds of things to try to stop it, but she doesn't stop it.
Why don't we go out there sometime when you're trying to think of something to do? It's easy to get to. You just drive past that oxygen-shaped building there with the guard courthouse and office for the Chandler Landing thing. It's a little further down the hill and turn left in those spyglass condominiums that park there in their visitor parking lot. And you're right there by the gate, because it's our cemetery, and you can go up and visit and see all the things I've been talking about.
Isn't Chandler's known as Chandler's Landing?
Yeah.
And why is it called landing? Was it like a off the river place where people on the little train stopped and what is it?
I know you'd have to ask the landlord about that. My house is called, it's on Baldwin, right, in Postal. I really don't know the answer to that. I'm just assuming it was a commercial name that,
I think that was after the land was put in and when they built all the, around there.
That's my understanding. I remember when we were having dinner or something down in that area, that someone told us that when the lake was built, they were looking for names and then found the family named Chandler as property owners there and took the Chandler name to make it.
Fortunately, because it doesn't always happen. you
Yes,
know,
but
there's
I
something-
don't know if there was a.
It's very fortunate that they did that. And it's dark for them.
used to be a real good restaurant down there. Is it still in business?
They have, yeah, they have one down here, it's called Allure.
Yeah.
Have a good Sunday brunch.
They say that's the best place to go for brunch.
Amen, it is, it's good.
And reasonable.
Next time you're going there, stop off at the cemetery and take a look. Anybody else?
Well, I have a question. The picture that you had at the very beginning, you know, the family picture
Uh-huh.
that you had, I saw some really interesting plants in that picture, and I was wondering,
They look like daffodils.
they did, and it was really unusual to me, I thought, to see that.
It is very,
I didn't even notice that. I'll go back.
The whole, yeah, there it goes. Yeah, the other thing you'll see. Yeah.
is that easy?
Isn't it? Yeah, let's see that.
Anyway, feel free to come up and flip through my family history books if you're interested. And also, if you know anybody who might know anything who can add to my family tree, we'll grab my contact sheets up here and pass it on to them. And,
I can tell you've done a lot of work. I do genealogy and I haven't, mine is not nearly as organized as yours.